Hey there, Kavemi here. I'm back with another wild Reddit story for you all. Today's tale is a roller coaster of family drama, where a baby name sparks chaos, betrayal, and some serious boundary crossing. So grab a snack, kick back, and let's dive into this mess with some chill Minecraft vibes in the background. The title of this story is My Family Tried to Force a Name on My Baby, Lied About My Sanity, but the Truth Set Us Free. My relatives lodged baseless complaints with Child Protective Services, alleging I was unfit to parent due to mental instability, but they were unprepared for the caseworker to dismantle their accusations in court. I'm 28 weeks pregnant with my first child, and my family has turned against me over our choice of baby name. The situation has spiraled so far that I'm struggling to discern whether I'm being unreasonable or if my relatives have lost all perspective. My name is Sarah, and I'm 27 years old. I'm married to Michael, who's 30. We've been together for 5 years and married for 3. When we learned we were having a daughter, we were thrilled. Michael and I spent weeks poring over name lists online and in books, finally settling on Olivia Faith. We chose Olivia for its timeless yet fresh appeal, and Faith to honour Michael's late cousin, who was a guiding figure in his life after his parents' divorce. We shared the name with our families about 6 weeks ago, and that's when the trouble began. My mother, Patricia, 58, has always been fixated on family traditions. She hails from a large Italian-American family, where names are handed down through generations. When we revealed our choice of Olivia Faith, her face fell. After a brief pause, she asked if we'd considered naming the baby Margaret, after my late grandmother, who passed away 4 years ago at 87. Let me explain about my grandmother Margaret. The family speaks of her as if she were flawless, a pillar who held everyone together. But Margaret wasn't the saintly figure everyone remembers. From ages 6 to 15, she watched me and my younger brother Ethan, 20, during weekends or summer breaks when our parents were unavailable. Margaret had rigid rules for how kids should act. If Ethan or I made noise during her favourite radio shows, she'd confine us to the attic storage room, a dim, musty space with no light or ventilation. Sometimes we'd be stuck there for hours. Ethan, being younger, would sob, which only angered her more when she finally released us. During those times, Margaret often withheld meals as punishment for what she deemed disrespectful behaviour. If we asked for a snack or fidgeted during her programmes, she'd send us to bed without food, convincing our parents we'd already eaten and were just being greedy. They always took her word. Worse still was how she spoke to us when alone. She'd call Ethan slow because he struggled with math, and she'd tell me I was getting too chubby. I would never find a husband if I kept eating. Those words haunted me for years, lingering every time I glanced in a mirror. When Margaret moved into a care facility, we visited her regularly, and everyone would gush about her kindness and warmth. I stayed quiet, knowing no one would believe me if I spoke about her cruelty. Margaret had crafted an image of the perfect grandmother, baking pies, sewing quilts. After her death, my mother's reverence for her grew. She got Margaret's name tattooed on her ankle in elegant script and posts nostalgic photos of her online during holidays, captioning them with how much she misses her guidance. So when Patricia suggested naming my daughter Margaret, I firmly declined, explaining that Michael and I were set on Olivia Faith. Her expression tightened, and she called it selfish not to honour Margaret's legacy, insisting Margaret would have wanted her great-granddaughter to carry her name. Over the following weeks, Patricia brought up Margaret constantly, through calls, texts, and visits. She sent me old photos of Margaret with family and stories about how Margaret supported her during my infancy. My father, Thomas, 55, initially stayed neutral but soon sided with her, stressing the importance of respecting elders and preserving family ties. He mentioned that Margaret had left me a necklace in her will, claiming it showed her love for me, though she'd given similar gifts to all her granddaughters. It wasn't personal. The conflict escalated at my baby shower 3 weeks ago, held at a local recreation hall Patricia organised. About 35 people attended, relatives, friends, and a few colleagues. The event was going smoothly until Patricia gave a speech. After thanking everyone, she expressed her hope that we'd all convince me to choose a more fitting name, suggesting Margaret to honour our family's cornerstone. Guests looked at me, some older relatives nodding in agreement. My cousin Anna, 29, remarked that Margaret would have been touched to have a namesake. I stood and clarified that our daughter's name was Olivia Faith, and Michael and I weren't budging. Patricia's smile faded. She accused me of being obstinate and disregarding family feelings, saying Margaret deserved this tribute for all she'd done. When I reiterated our decision, she raised her voice, calling me disrespectful. The room grew silent as my baby shower turned into a public dispute. Guests whispered, visibly uncomfortable. I tried to shift the conversation, but Patricia insisted we discuss it later, hoping I'd come to my senses before the birth. The rest of the shower felt strained. Some relatives left early, and a few privately told me they supported me, but urged me to resolve things with Patricia. Since then, things have worsened. Patricia calls multiple times daily about the name issue. Thomas started showing up at our house while Michael's at work, lecturing me on family duty. Ethan texted, suggesting I give in to avoid stress during pregnancy. My Aunt Clara, 50, visited my workplace during lunch, claiming Patricia was heartbroken. When I shared my painful memories of Margaret, Clara dismissed them, saying I must be misremembering because I was young. No one listens when I explain why I refuse Margaret's name. They redirect or tell me to focus on her good qualities. My cousin David, 34, said Margaret was from another era, and I shouldn't judge her by today's standards. Last week, Patricia showed up at my prenatal appointment with Margaret's sister, Beatrice, 76, who travelled 2 hours to be there. Patricia said Beatrice wanted to hear her great-niece's heartbeat, hinting the baby might be named Margaret. Beatrice spoke about how Margaret longed for more children and would have cherished a namesake. When I restated that our baby's name was Olivia Faith, Beatrice seemed confused, saying Patricia had told her I was considering Margaret. Patricia brushed it off, claiming we were still talking it over. Frustrated, I left without letting them hear the heartbeat and called Michael. He suggested we set firmer boundaries, proposing a letter to confirm our decision and demand respect for it. But I worry a letter might inflame things further. My family sees this as more than a name dispute. It's a test of my loyalty to our traditions. Refusing feels like choosing my preferences over their values. But naming my daughter Margaret brings back memories of being locked in the attic and belittled. With the baby due in 10 weeks, the stress is mounting, and I'm torn between standing firm on Olivia Faith, risking permanent damage to family ties, or finding a compromise. Has anyone faced similar family pressure over a baby name? How did you handle honouring someone you associate with pain? I need guidance. This is straining my health and marriage. Update 1. 6 weeks ago, I shared how my family pushed me to name my daughter after my abusive grandmother Margaret, and I chose Olivia Faith instead. Many encouraged me to hold my ground, which I did, but things got worse before improving. At 36 weeks, I went into early labour. Michael rushed me to the hospital, where Olivia Faith was born healthy at 5 pounds, 6 ounces. The first day was blissful despite exhaustion, with Olivia in the NICU for monitoring due to her prematurity. On day 2, a nurse said multiple people had called the hospital about me and the baby: Patricia, Thomas, Clara and Anna. I hadn't informed them of the birth, wanting time to bond with Olivia. That afternoon, Patricia and Thomas arrived unannounced while I was breastfeeding. Patricia rushed to Olivia's bassinet, snapping photos and cooing about how beautiful her Margaret was. I corrected her, saying the name was Olivia Faith. She laughed, saying I'd see how perfect Margaret was, noting Olivia resembled Margaret's baby photos. Thomas stood by the door, saying they were worried when they learned I'd given birth without telling them, insisting family should be notified first. I asked them to leave, citing exhaustion and recovery. Patricia argued they'd driven 90 minutes and deserved time with their granddaughter, picking up Olivia without permission. When I tried to take her back, Patricia called me possessive, claiming grandparents had rights and Margaret would have wanted her involved. Michael returned from the cafeteria, saw the scene, and demanded they leave, emphasising our need for privacy. Patricia accused him of turning me against my family and resisting Margaret's legacy. Michael took Olivia back and had a nurse call security, stating they were uninvited and causing stress. Patricia vowed this wasn't over, saying they'd ensure a relationship with Margaret regardless of my wishes. The next day, a social worker, Ms. Carter, visited, saying someone reported concerns about my mental health, alleging postpartum depression and paranoia about my family. She conducted a wellness check, asking about my support system, mental health history, and plans for Olivia's care. I explained the name dispute and their uninvited hospital visit. Ms. Carter noted the caller provided specific claims about my unstable decisions and Michael enabling me. After an hour, she concluded I was a capable mother under typical family stress, recommending no further action. 2 days later, Olivia and I were discharged. Michael's sister, Emily, 33, stayed with us for a week to help with chores, travelling 3 hours to support us. On our 4th day home, Clara, David, and his wife Sophie, 25, showed up, claiming concern for Olivia's care. Patricia had told them I wasn't responding to messages. We'd turned off our phones to focus on Olivia. Clara pushed past Michael, insisting she needed to see Olivia was healthy. David photographed our home, Olivia's room, kitchen, living area, saying it was to document her living conditions in case issues arose. Sophie quizzed me on Olivia's feeding schedule, my sleep and medications, citing Patricia's worries about my parenting capacity. After they left, Michael and Emily documented the visit, suspecting it was an attempt to gather evidence against us. That night, Michael's mother, Susan, 60, called, saying someone claiming to be Patricia warned her I had severe postpartum depression, urging Michael to move Olivia to my parents' home for my treatment. Susan, who'd been texting us daily, saw no signs of this and dismissed the claims. Michael explained the name conflict and harassment. Susan offered to stay with us if needed. The next day, we learned Patricia had contacted Michael's co-workers and mine, spreading lies about my mental health crisis. Michael informed his HR department, and his boss assured no action would be taken based on the calls, though Michael worried about his reputation. Realising my family was trying to undermine my credibility as a mother, we consulted a family law attorney, Ms. Rivera, specialising in grandparent disputes. She explained that grandparents rarely gain custody or visitation without proof of parental unfitness or extraordinary circumstances. She warned that false social services reports could have serious consequences and advised documenting all interactions. We sent a cease and desist letter to Patricia, Thomas, Clara, and David, barring uninvited visits and false reports to social services or employers, threatening a restraining order if harassment continued. 3 days later, Ethan called, saying our parents were upset by the letter, feeling punished for caring about me and Olivia. He suggested using Margaret as Olivia's middle name to resolve the conflict. I explained their false reports and lies to our contacts, saying trust was broken. Ethan was unaware of the social services calls and promised to ask our parents to back off. The next day, Patricia left a voicemail, claiming the letter proved I wasn't thinking clearly and Michael was manipulating me. She said Margaret would be devastated to know her great-granddaughter was being kept from family, vowing to ensure Olivia knew her heritage. The voicemail showed the letter hadn't stopped them. They still called Olivia Margaret and saw themselves as victims. We knew stronger, legal measures were needed to protect our family. Update 2. 3 months ago, I updated about my family's harassment over naming our daughter Olivia and spreading false mental health claims. The situation escalated further, but I want to share what happened for others facing similar family conflicts. During a routine paediatric visit for Olivia, Patricia, Thomas, and Clara appeared in the waiting room, having learned of the appointment. Patricia approached, saying she'd reflected and wanted to apologise for misunderstandings, hoping to resolve things for Olivia's sake. Holding Olivia in a crowded waiting area, I kept my voice low, saying they couldn't attend medical appointments uninvited and we needed space. Thomas claimed grandparents had rights to be involved in Olivia's health decisions, citing their parenting experience. Clara took photos of Olivia, saying she wanted to document her growth since they'd been excluded. When I asked her to stop, she said Patricia was heartbroken missing Olivia's early months. The nurse called us back, and I clarified only Michael and I were authorised for Olivia's appointments. Patricia argued grandparents should have automatic access, noting she'd attended her other grandchildren's visits. The nurse asked them to wait in the lobby. During the exam, Dr. Khan asked about family changes. I shared the uninvited visit and ongoing name pressure. He revealed a call from someone claiming to be Olivia's grandmother, asking about her weight, feeding and development, and questioning our parenting. Dr. Khan hadn't shared information due to privacy laws but noted the call in Olivia's file, offering to restrict medical access to Michael and me, which we approved. In the lobby, Patricia asked for Olivia's health details, which I declined to share. Thomas called our secrecy suspicious, and Clara remarked Olivia looked small, questioning our feeding. In front of other families, Patricia tried to take Olivia, claiming she knew how to soothe her. I stepped back, and she called me paranoid. Michael arrived, saw the scene, and told them to leave, citing our boundaries. Thomas blamed Michael for turning me against family. As we left, Clara shouted they knew our address and would connect with Margaret regardless. That night, we told Ms. Rivera, who said their actions could qualify as harassment, especially post-cease and desist. She suggested a temporary restraining order, requiring court evidence like false reports, uninvited visits, and the paediatric incident. We filed against Patricia, Thomas, and Clara, with a hearing set for the following week. The night before, Ethan called, saying our parents wanted him to testify about our loving family and their care for Olivia. They told him we were overreacting. I detailed the harassment, and Ethan, unaware of many incidents, chose not to testify. At the hearing, Ms. Rivera presented phone records, texts, photos, and hospital and paediatric reports. My parents, without a lawyer, claimed they were loving grandparents blocked by Michael's influence. Patricia cited my postpartum issues. The judge found their actions constituted harassment, issuing a 1-year restraining order, barring contact, visits, or false reports, and ordered them to pay our legal fees. Post-hearing, Patricia approached me, but a bailiff intervened. Ms. Rivera escorted us out, advising us to report any violations. 2 weeks later, my parents' new lawyer threatened a grandparents' visitation lawsuit, claiming the restraining order was baseless. Ms. Rivera responded that such a suit during an active restraining order could be further harassment. Since then, we've had no direct contact with Patricia, Thomas, or Clara. Ethan says they're upset, believing Michael turned me against them. Olivia, now 7 months, is thriving. The restraining order has 6 months left, and will extend it if needed. Update 3. 6 months after my last update, with the restraining order against Patricia, Thomas, and Clara nearing its December expiration, Olivia is now 14 months old. We plan to extend the order, as Ethan said our parents were plotting to see Olivia post-restriction. But in November, Ethan uncovered something game-changing. While helping our parents declutter for a move, he found a box of Margaret's belongings, letters, journals, and medical records. The letters written to Beatrice detailed Margaret's frustration babysitting Ethan and me, describing us as spoiled and needing harsh discipline, like attic confinement and skipped meals. Her journals revealed a general disdain for children, calling us ungrateful and criticising modern parenting. She noted similar punishments for other grandchildren. Ethan confronted our parents, who initially defended Margaret, citing her era's norms. Thomas, shaken, admitted he'd found her strict but trusted Patricia's judgment. After days of arguments, Patricia struggled to accept Margaret's abuse, as it undermined her push for Olivia's name. Thomas insisted they owed me an apology. 2 weeks later, Ethan arranged a meeting at Miss Rivera's office, with him mediating. Our parents brought Margaret's documents, admitting her mistreatment. Patricia said she'd idolised Margaret, ignoring her flaws, and apologised for the false reports and harassment. Thomas regretted not listening to my concerns early on. We asked about Clara, and they said she acted on Patricia's misinformation, but would be told to stop. Ethan suggested they send Olivia occasional cards to rebuild trust gradually. We agreed to keep the restraining order active and set strict future contact rules. Patricia apologised to Susan for the false claims. Post-restraining order, they've sent polite cards and had brief supervised calls. In April, we allowed a 2-hour supervised visit at Ethan's home. They respected all boundaries, and Olivia, shy but curious, warmed up slightly. Our relationship with them remains cautious, and Clara, refusing to accept Margaret's abuse, has distanced herself. This ordeal taught me traditions shouldn't trump child safety. The legal system protected us, but only Margaret's own words forced my parents to see the truth. Olivia, called Olivia Faith by all, grows in a home prioritising her well-being over harmful legacies. And that's it for today's wild family drama, folks. Kavemi here, signing off. What a journey. Name battles, family chaos, and truth coming out on top. Let me know in the comments what you think about this one. Grab some more snacks. Keep enjoying those Minecraft vibes. And I'll catch you in the next Reddit story. Peace out.